So let's raise the first big questions tonight. Is this Nitish Kumar's last gambit, a last stand taken by Nitish Kumar? Will the RJD continue now to dictate terms, or will it dictate terms this time to Nitish Kumar? Has the BJP lost a key ally in the Hindi heartland? Is this an opposition that is desperate, or is this in a way revenge for what happened to the opposition in Maharashtra? And what does this really mean for national politics? We'll be looking at all those questions one by one. But first, let's look at the politics that's played out in Bihar. Abhishek Jha joins me of the Janata Dal United. I'm joined by Dr. Rakesh Sinha, BJP's Member of Parliament, joined by Chirag Paswan, Lok Jan Shakti, who I spoke to earlier, and Rohan Gupta, the Congress's spokesperson. Let's start by one to each of you. Rakesh Sinha ji, let's start with you, because the BJP is now saying betrayal, humko dhoka diya hai. Is this dhoka or is this naile pe dehla? You broke the Shiv Sena in Maharashtra. The JDU has decided to go its own way in Bihar. They were worried you were going, Nitish was worried that you would do to him what you did to Uddhav Thackeray in Maharashtra.
You know, there was a vice presidential election and JDU voted for the BJP's nominee. In the debate in both Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, JDU stood for the BJP. So political morality stands for that if you have any grievances, immediate grievances or some ultimate grievances, if you have any suspicion, Nitish Kumar is a national leader, I accept that. He should have contacted national leadership of the BJP. You are taking decision abruptly, without informing the alliance partner. What is about the political morality? It is assassination of the political morality which Nitish Kumar has done in his life. And I think that the people of Bihar are more concerned not about who is the chief minister, who will be the minister. They are concerned about the law and order. Because the mandate is against the Jungle Raj. People have not forgotten. And this unnatural alliance, which he has presented before the people of Bihar, has just see the base. Any political analyst can see the respective basis of the JDU and the RJD. Both are not in harmony with each other. The opportunism at the highest stage and highest level does not mean that the social basis would compromise with each other. Therefore, our main concern is the development of Bihar, law and order in Bihar, and the mandate which Nitish Kumar got.
So you are saying this is assassination of political morality, and this is pure, you are saying this is pure opportunism.
Just I am ending with one statement. Just give me 10 seconds to end my statement. You know, Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji has always given importance to Janata Dal U and Nitish Kumar ji. So he cannot complain that he has been insulted, and the entire cabinet always stood for Nitish Kumar ji. So if you are giving some statement, because he is a veteran leader, we are not accustomed to use any harsh word for any leader, even if he is a part of the alliance or he is not the part of the alliance, which Lalu Yadav once used for Nitish ji, pet mein daant hai. And Paltu Ram. We are not in BJP, you will not find any single BJP leader using such harsh word, uncivilized word and barbaric words in democratic setup, in liberal democracy. So we find that this unnatural alliance is going to be very, very detrimental for the development of Bihar and law and order.
So you are saying, let me be very clear, you are saying there was no plan on the part of the BJP to bring down Nitish's government. Am I clear about that? When Nitish Kumar says today in public that there was a sense that the BJP unko gherav kar rahi thi, wanted to finish him.
Rajdeep, you are from Maharashtra. You know the Shiv Sena was a party which was united on a particular ideology, that is Hindutva ideology. When they departed from Hindutva ideology, there was murmuring at the ground level. Ultimately, there was a split. A split is ideological. A split is based on the values. A split is a historical role of Shiv Sena in Maharashtra politics. So you are surrendering before the pseudo-secularists. How Uddhav Thackeray expected that entire Shiv Sena would stand for him? So BJP should not be blamed. You are burning your own legs and you are blaming the neighbors. That is not tenable.
So you believe Nitish has burnt his own house?
I remember that once you read a paper in, Rajdeep, I remember that once you read a paper on Shiv Sena in the Nehru Memorial Museum Library. So you know the history of Shiv Sena. You agree or disagree? Is it a Bal Thackeray Shiv Sena? So the split which took place, that is a mainstream Shiv Sena, because it stands for original ideology of Bal Thackeray, for which Shiv Sena was formed.
Okay.
Uddhav Thackeray turned it as Sonia Sena.
Okay, so just a minute. You are saying, therefore, that Nitish Kumar has no reason to believe that what happened in Maharashtra would have happened to the JDU. He was looking for simply an excuse to move away from you. Abhishek Jha, respond to what you heard from Rakesh Sinha. You were on my show, Abhishek, 24 hours earlier. मैंने आपको कहा था, all is well is not, all is not well. All was not well. Clearly, you wanted to leave the BJP. What was the reason? क्यों हुआ ये? Why did Nitish Kumar, who fights an election with the BJP in 2020, BJP gets almost twice as number of seats as Nitish Kumar. Now, 2 years later, you are ditching him? Why?
Rajiv, you are correct. After 24 hours, we are again meeting on the same debate show. Yesterday, I told you the truth that we cannot say anything about future. We cannot predict anything about future, and right now the current situation is that we are not part of India. Our honorable leader Nitish Kumar ji has made it very clear that
please turn around your screen. Please turn around your screen, Abhishek. Your screen is not proper. Why did you leave? Why did you leave then? If all was well, why did you leave?
No, actually, you must have heard our leader honorable Nitish Kumar ji after he came out of the governor house. He explained it very well that the things which are behind leaving the alliance, or the reasons which are behind leaving the alliance will be explained later on by our party leaders. Every citizen of Bihar knows it very well that we were backstabbed. There was a conspiracy so that JDU can lose many seats, and so the seats of JDU was very less.
No, who backstabbed you? Who backstabbed you? Who backstabbed you?
But we will disclose each and everything, Rajdeep. We will disclose each and everything with proper facts and proper proof.
You are claiming, you are effectively claiming that the BJP backstabbed you in the 2020 election by tying up with by using Chirag Paswan to weaken the JDU. Am I correct? Yes or no?
So many leaders of the BJP went to LJP. They contested the election, served as vote katwa. They contested election only in front of the JDU candidates, intentionally tried to harm the JDU candidates, and that's why our seats were less.
So after 18 months you have woken up? BJP, it has taken you 18 months to wake up to that, Abhishek Jha?
Things needs to be figured out properly. Later on also there was a conspiracy inside our party also, as you can see the entire event of RCP Singh, what all happened in our party, and finally he's out of our party right now. But there is a big conspiracy behind it, and we will come to the media or top leadership, senior leadership will come to the media with proper justifications.
Okay, so you are saying that there was a conspiracy to backstab the JDU, which began in the 2020 elections. 1 minute. When Chirag Paswan was used, you claim to bring down, in a way, Nitish Kumar's numbers in the Bihar Assembly. Chirag Paswan, I spoke to him a short while ago. Let's listen to him. I asked him, Nitish Kumar, Chirag ji set to take oath as Chief Minister once again with the Mahagathbandhan, going back to Lalu Prasad and Tejashwi. In this battle between Nitish Kumar and the BJP, who do you stand with? You are being accused in a way of being part of a conspiracy to target Nitish Kumar.
Well, I don't stand anywhere, and how does it matter which side do I stand? It's not even relevant. They have their numbers with them, and they could have easily opted for whichever side that they wanted to go and form the government, and they did that. And my Mukhyamantri ji is known for switching the sides. He's previously also, he's been the Chief Minister with Mahagathbandhan, then he shifted side, and then he came with NDA. So he's done that repeatedly, and now he's gone back to Mahagathbandhan. My issue is that the only thing that matters to my Mukhyamantri is his kursi, and he can do anything to continue on that kursi. We have seen him compromising with his ideologies, Rajiv ji. Isse pehle bhi 2005 he came as an alternative to Jungle Raj. और जंगल राज बोलते बोलते इवेंचुअली ही ज्वाइंड हैंड्स विद राष्ट्रीय जनता दल. उसके बाद इन विधानसभा ही सेड कि मैं मिट्टी में मिल जाऊंगा पर भाजपा के साथ नहीं जाऊंगा. देन वी सॉ हिम ज्वाइनिंग हैंड्स विद भारतीय जनता पार्टी एंड कंटिन्यूइंग फॉर अ लॉन्ग टाइम. सो ही इज बीन doing this repeatedly. He says something and he does something else. So right now also I have sincere doubts. Having said that, I actually said this way back in 2020. Immediately after Bihar Vidhan Sabha election results that came out. So the very next day I held a press conference and I said that very soon Mukhyamantri Nitish Kumar ji will be leaving NDA and he'll be joining hands with Mahagathbandhan, because eventually his ultimate aim or the target is to become the prime ministerial candidate from the opposition side. He knows this very well, that in NDA there is hardly any vacancy for the candidature of for the Prime Minister. So yes, eventually his bigger aim, bigger goal is to go to opposition, which he has done today, and he'll try his best to be announced as the Prime Ministerial candidate for 2024 general election. So this was something, what happened today was very evident. This was in cooking for the longest time.
You know, you're making a big point. You are claiming that Nitish Kumar, this is part of his plan to one day become the prime ministerial contender, taking on Narendra Modi. I'll come back to that in a moment, because that is another sort of element, subplot to this drama. But you didn't answer my question, Chirag. Is it true, do you accept that the BJP used you as a pawn in 2020 to teach Nitish Kumar a lesson? JDU claims you put up candidates to defeat Nitish Kumar, that there was an attempt to backstab Nitish, and today, 18 months later, Nitish is having his revenge.
Well, half of your question is absolutely correct. Yes, I contested election to make sure that Mukhyamantri Nitish Kumar ji his party defeats, and I'm happy and I'm proud to say that we were able to achieve our goal. I'm happy that it's because of this Chirag model, as they say, or as they call it. It's because of this Chirag model, Nitish model failed. They were reduced from number 1 position to number 3 position. More than half of their candidates, they lost election. So yes, I mean, with utmost humility, I accept that yes, it was because of Chirag Paswan and Lok Janshakti Party that Nitish's party performed miserably. Having said that, being in an alliance or an unsaid or a behind a curtain alliance with Bharatiya Janata Party is absolutely rubbish. There's no truth in that. I announced it very clearly that Lok Janshakti Party, this was the decision that was taken by the party, and we announced it that we'll be contesting alone, and we did that. We contested on our vision document, Bihar First, Bihari First. I'm happy. I thank the people of my state that they supported me. I got a huge number of votes in terms of vote percentage, more than almost 6% vote we got. So yes, I mean, that was one decision that was taken deliberately, but not in an alliance or not behind a curtain deal with Bharatiya Janata Party.
Interesting. You're saying, yes, you had the aim in 2020 of defeating Nitish Kumar, but you've also made an important point earlier. You claim this is part of an overall effort, that Nitish's long-term strategy of becoming Prime Minister or a Prime Ministerial contender. Rohan Gupta, you want to respond? Because the Congress party has very happily today tagged along with this Mahagathbandhan. यानी कोई भी बीजेपी को हरा सके, you are happy to go along with them. Is Nitish Kumar going to be a prime ministerial contender tomorrow? Rahul Gandhi apparently has a decent relationship with Nitish Kumar, or likes Nitish Kumar, we are told.
राजदीप, पहले मैं भाजपा प्रवक्ता का जवाब दे दूं. He told that BJP is feeling that people have betrayed them. The party which has betrayed people, the party which has betrayed opposition, the party which has betrayed the alliance partners, they are talking about betrayal. Rajdeep, there were 24 parties when NDA was formed in 2014. And even after being in power, let me tell you that this is the first party which is in power for last 8 years, and it has lost almost all the allies. Why this has happened? Because for all the allies, their survival is more important than power. BJP, you cannot trust BJP. Any ally you think, you will find a new story, whether it is TDP, whether it is Akali Dal, whether it is any party, you just name the party, you will have a different story. So see, I am not citing Mr. Nitish Kumar, but what happened that I was there in Bihar elections. From the time the elections were held, it was very clear that they were trying to reduce the seats of JDU. After that, they created Shinde in form of RCP Singh. They wanted to create Shinde in Bihar in form of RCP Singh. You tell me, Rajdeep, is it possible that you are in alliance with any party and the ministerial candidate of that party is decided by you and not by that party? That is what RCP Singh is. So, you know, that platform was set by BJP.
So you are claiming that the BJP wants to destroy every ally. You are claiming that the BJP wants to destroy every ally. I will let Rakesh Sinha respond to that. Rakesh Sinha, I will list out today. In fact, I put out a tweet that has gone viral today. giving the list of the various BJP allies who have left you or have been betrayed by you. In my home state of Maharashtra, Maharashtravati Gomantak party today has been completely marginalized. You used it in the 1990s. Telugu Desam has left, has weakened. Akali Dal has left and has weakened. The Assam Gana Parishad, which was once your ally in Assam, is still an ally but has been totally marginalized. Shiv Sena has been split wide open. INLD has weakened. We can go state by state, Rakesh Sinha. Do you concede that because you have become such a dominant force in the Modi-Shah era, allies are scared of you? They are fearing you. How do you respond to what you are hearing?
Before answering that, I am responding to Rohan Gupta's lecture on the alliance. Let him go and read Panchmadhi's resolution of the Congress party. It is his party's resolution. If he does not know, I can explain. You can explain to him how they are against the existence of regional party and the coalition. They are the party which believe in hegemony, and we have seen the Congress hegemony in 60s, 50s.
So that was 50s and 60s. Today in 2022, we are seeing the Modi, sir. Just a minute. We are seeing the Modi-Shah hegemony.
No, I'm answering.
You are on an Ashwamedh Yagna. Why are so many allies leaving you? Akali Dal left you, TDP left you, and now you've got another party leaving you.
I'm answering you. There is a difference between Vajpayee's BJP and Prime Minister Narendra Modi's BJP. Both are respected leaders, and this is a party progressive unfoldment, both organizationally and support based. When Prime Minister Modi came in picture, he expanded the party. That was a context. For the mandate, to rule the country, we have taken the democratically support of the parties. Now we are an all India party. We are expanding. Every party expands. Who stops any political party to become a national party? Who stops any political party to expand its social base? If you are confined to a family, if you are confined to individual, and you want to rule the country, is it possible? All 8 years, when Prime Minister Modi had directed, inspired the workers to go to the field. During the Corona period, BJP workers are working. We have the schedule of all 30 days and 365 days. And you are competing with BJP. Congress wants to become BJP or any regional party. We are not going to destroy anybody. It is internal contradiction of some parties. If corruption is dominating some party's political culture, that party is being marginalized in its social base, then BJP is not responsible. You can take example of Punjab. In fact, we have been damaged by some regional parties. Their sins are being imposed on BJP's heads. Talking about the Goa or Maharashtra, the split in the Shiv Sena is their internal contradiction.
Okay.
As for JDU is concerned, we have respected the party. We are all India party. We have all India base. We have every right. We have every right to expand.
You have every right to expand, but as you expand,
Indian leadership.
Okay, as you expand, it is possible that some regional parties fear you are taking over their turf. This is as true of Bihar as it may be true of Maharashtra or any other state. Maybe Nitish Kumar feared.
Can you give what? No, it is contrary to that. When RJD had alliance with the CPI was marginalized. It created not ideological. It created a caste polarization within the CPI. CPI was a big force in Bihar before alliance with the RJD. You could talk to the Communist Party of India people. So RJD had alliance with the Congress Party. Congress Party was marginalized. So RJD is doing the caste politics, hardcore caste politics.
You made your point, sir. So you made your point, Rakesh ji.
Last question, Rajdeep, Rajdeep, 1 point. Rajdeep, give me 10 seconds.
Okay.
700 schools in Bihar are giving leave on vacation on Friday. We are a secular democracy. Rajdeep, we agree. We can differ on many points. We are a secular democracy where constitution and executive order has some commonality. Can we allow this? Can any spokesperson of the JDU and RJD justify this? If they are justifying, they are trying to Islamize the state.
Okay, so you've now come up
just for the.
Okay, so you believe that there is an attempt to Islamize. Okay, you made your points now, Rakesh Sinha. Let Rohan Gupta quickly respond. Rohan Gupta, you are going on saying that the BJP is swallowing these regional parties, but the BJP is growing. It's expanding like the Congress was in the 50s, 60s. They are the dominant party. What's the problem?
Absolutely no problem. See, then they should not talk about NDA. Then they should be strong enough and, honest enough to come out and say that, okay, we are fighting elections as BJP. Why they are talking about alliance with the different parties? How can you trust BJP? If you are going to sit with BJP, they are going to cut you down. Obviously, nobody is going to sit. This is the country, Rajdeep. This is not, they just want to make it like one party, one leader, one dictator. It cannot happen in country like India. In southern states also, they tried with AIDMK. What happened? So wherever they go, they ensure that they take space of the local party and they grow. There is nothing wrong in growing, but then you should not show your different face that you are fighting as NDA. No,
Okay.
you are fighting BJP and your ideology is clear. There is no coexistence as far as BJP is concerned. They can only exist or other can only exist. That is why this is happening. Otherwise, you tell me, Rajdeep, if they are in power for last 8 years, why people should leave them? And as you have rightly told, everybody who have left them has been weakened. So this is a question of survival. This is the question of existence where parties are leaving BJP.
Okay, you're saying this is an existential battle. Abhishek, all very well, existential battle. But you are going as part of this existential battle to tie up with the very forces that you have said are responsible for Jungle Raj in Bihar. I can play all Nitish Kumar's old bites. Today, Rakesh Sinha doesn't want to call him Paltu Ram, but the same Lalu Prasad has called him Paltu Ram. Lalu Prasad once said, "Iska koi saga, Nitish ka koi saga nahi, jisne usko thaga nahi." He has, from George Fernandez to today RCP Singh, people have joined and left Nitish. He will get a gold medal in gymnastics.
छोड़ो कल की बातें, कल की बात पुरानी, नए दौर में मिलकर लिखेंगे हम नई कहानी.
अरे वाह.
And the same thing is that
कितनी कहानियां लिखोगे अभिषेक जी, कितनी कहानियां लिखोगे मेरे दोस्त?
हम बिहार के विकास की गाथा, बिहार के विकास की कहानियां लिखते रहेंगे. And Honorable Nitish Kumar ji, ever since he has taken oath as the Chief Minister of Bihar, there is law and order maintained situation in Bihar, and no one is worried about it.
Okay.
Nitish Kumar ji has always worried about voters, not about votes. So many things were told about.
He is only worried about kursi. The charge against Nitish Kumar today, kursi chahiye, baki sab baad mein. Ek din Jungle Raj, ek din I am against communalism, but I can go with anyone. Kursi, it's all about kursi, my friend.
We cannot change anyone's perception. Na? As we see the scenario of Bihar politics or the history of Bihar politics, that coalition wins, which fights in the name of Honorable Nitish Kumar ji, that coalition wins, which fights taking the face of Honorable Nitish Kumar. So,
okay, so let me leave it there. You claim whatever else happens in in Bihar, Nitish Kumar is a permanent figure. Deputy Chief Ministers can change. Okay, you believe that the people of Bihar still want Nitish Kumar. Let me leave it there. We've listened to the politicians. In a moment, we'll speak to the experts because they've raised several issues. Because can Nitish Kumar really become the challenger to Mr. Modi in 2024 as is being whispered? I thank all my guests for joining me. So what is Nitish Kumar's future? Is he really the face of the opposition in 2024? Nalin Verma is author and journalist who's written a biography of Lalu Prasad. Rahul Verma is fellow at Center for Policy Research and tracks political trends closely. Rahul Srivastava, our National Affairs Editor, is joining us. And Javed Ansari, senior journalist, is someone who's known Nitish Kumar in particular for several years. Appreciate all of you joining us. Let's come to each of you on that big question. Rahul Verma, to you first. Do you see what Nitish Kumar has done today simply about short-term survival, or does he have a long-term agenda of emerging as some kind of a magnet for anti-Modi forces?
Rajdeep, it will take some time to figure out whether Nitish has a long-term agenda in mind or not. Today, what he has done, basically shown his survival instincts. The longevity of JDU-BJP alliance since 2020 was always in a question, given that the BJP had emerged as a larger player than Nitish Kumar, and Nitish Kumar since then has been feeling that BJP has been making moves right from feeling Chirag Paswan against him and then trying to instigate RCP Singh, who is JDU leader, to carve out his own space and niche, a Kurmi leader, that too. So Nitish Kumar has been feeling the heat, and in some ways the parting of ways was inevitable. it has come now. Whether he can become an opposition magnet will depend on what cards he's going to play from now. With the caste census issue, it remains a burning issue in Bihar and perhaps across North India. Nitish Kumar, in comparison to what he was in 2010 or 15, has now a diminished credibility. So to become opposition magnet, he not only has to survive as the chief minister, but also has to create a narrative around him where other leaders think that they can come with Nitish Kumar on the same platform.
Interesting that Nitish Kumar, in a sense, is perhaps a diminished leader, and that's one of my takes that you're seeing on the screen compared to 2010 or 15. Javed Ansari, do you agree with that? That the repeated U-turns that Nitish Kumar has made means that if he was to even emerge as a national lead alternative, it appears much more difficult now than it was ever before. I'll put up all those takeaways in a moment on the screen. Go ahead, Javed.
Yes, one of the big question marks against Nitish Kumar is the reliability factor. There are those in the opposition who will say, I mean, he was with the BJP when we were facing the wrath of the ED, when our workers were being beaten up, when our leaders were being hounded, where was Mr. Nitish Kumar? But he also has 2.5 years to go for the next general elections. I agree with Rahul when he says this step is an existential one. He's tried to survive, and now having taken this step, this opens up possibilities. But before that happens, there are a lot of things. For one, Nitish Kumar has to convince the opposition and the voters that this time his parting of woes is a permanent divorce and not a temporary separation as in the past.
You know, the question, Rahul Srivastava, is who is going to trust someone who has made all these, gymnastics in the last 20 years? Can Nitish Kumar really therefore emerge as a magnet, or is it, as I keep repeating, purely about his immediate political survival because he knew that the BJP was encroaching on his turf?
See, Rajdeep, when we question Nitish Kumar for switching loyalties and ideologies and alliance partners, we also should not forget the fact that why should Lalu Yadav accept him back? Because he went with despite him having gone with the BJP. Mulayam Singh Yadav in Uttar Pradesh and Akhilesh Yadav have never done that. They have not gone.
But Lalu also has no options.
Lalu has also not gone. So why is he accepting somebody like Nitish Kumar? Nitish Kumar is a political compulsion for Lalu Yadav as well as the BJP in Bihar. The BJP has gone back to the drawing board. Rajdeep, I think what is happening here, that Nitish Kumar, as I said yesterday also, plays for the next game. Now, if he had played this game closer to the Lok Sabha elections, people would have said that he's just drama kar raha hai, and he is doing it now only because he has got aspirations. He has done it, as Javed said very rightly, 2.5 years from the Lok Sabha elections. Now, what does it mean, Rajdeep? See, he had sent messages in 2017 also to Prashant Kishore that I want to break up this alliance, I want to come back. That was some 6 months after he had joined hands with the BJP. Now, why does he do that? He does it primarily because he does not have a platform of his own to launch himself as a candidate. Now, Lalu Prasad Yadav and Bihar are a good enough platform that will launch him. The old Janata Party sentiment and nostalgia and all those elements can unite certain forces. The second element is, what is in it for Lalu Yadav? If Nitish Kumar catapults himself or presents himself as a prime ministerial option, the seat gets vacated for Tejashwi Yadav. Lalu wants to get his son entrenched fully in Bihar politics. Nitish Kumar's
So are you saying there is a possibility, Rahul, that in 2023, next year this time, Nitish Kumar could make the jump from Patna to Delhi as a national alternative to Mr. Modi, and Tejashwi Yadav becomes Chief Minister of Bihar? You are not ruling that out?
Rajdeep, I am pretty sure that if Nitish Kumar wants to do that, wants to be a prime ministerial face, he can't sit in Bihar and keep his hands dirty with the Bihar politics. He will have to offer Lalu something that Lalu Yadav backs him as a prime ministerial candidate.
No, you think that's the deal?
This alliance is not ideological. This is for, I think, serving both Lalu Yadav and Nitish Kumar. So if Nitish Kumar needs Lalu's backing, then Nitish needs to give Lalu something. If Lalu does not get the chief minister's job, say by some time, then Lalu will not back him. So I think it's larger part of an attempt by Nitish and Lalu to have their own ways as far as the Bihar politics is concerned. They're serving their own purposes.
No, fascinating what you're saying, because Nalin Verma, you've authored a book with Lalu Yadav from Gopalganj to Raisina, Lalu Prasad's memoir. Do you believe that is part of the, do you believe that's part of the deal? Lalu Prasad's son Tejashwi becomes chief minister next year this time, and Nitish then tries to become an opposition magnet?
Yes. See, the thing is, the 2024 Rajdeep is quite open, and I can't say that I have access to this information. I'm privy to the information, but it is quite logical that Nitish Kumar, for his own longevity, and at the same time, he has, as of now, he has just shown it that he is not a Uddhav Thackeray. You can't play him Eknath Shinde in Bihar. This he has made it clear as of now. You can't outsmart him, even if you are Narendra Modi or Amit Shah. You can't play Eknath Shinde.
You're saying you can't outsmart Nitish Kumar in Bihar at the moment. But you know, Rahul Verma, this is the difference some would say between UP and Bihar. In Bihar, the BJP is still dependent in a way on the likes of Nitish Kumar, while in UP they've already shown they can take on an Akhilesh Yadav and Mayawati together. Do you therefore believe that Bihar... Yes, Nalin.
Rajdeep, there is a reason for that. See, in Uttar Pradesh, the BJP has made huge inroads in the OBC and the Dalit votes. And Nitish or Lalu staying together or staying separately. They have never allowed BJP to go beyond this upper caste base in rural hinterlands and the business communities in the urban areas. They continue to be the masters or the prime face for the OBCs taken together, Nitish and Lalu. BJP is nowhere among the caste beyond the upper caste.
You know, the BJP will challenge, will obviously believe that the next step is to conquer the OBCs and EBCs in Bihar like they have in UP. But Rahul Verma, do you believe therefore this is the last battle between Mandal and Kamandal? The so-called big last final battle is being played out in Bihar. Everywhere else, the BJP has conquered the Mandal forces. Bihar is the last frontier.
Yes, Rajdeep. So let me make 2 points. First, we must remember that there's no love lost between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Nitish Kumar. So sooner or later, either Narendra Modi or his advisors in the government and in the party are going to get back at Nitish Kumar. So what you saw in the run-up to 2020 polls was BJP playing a long con. Now, what Nitish Kumar is doing is playing basically short games to survive, to make space for himself. In 2020, when BJP propped up a crisis in form of Chirag Paswan, that's the long con they played. That sooner or later, the politics in Bihar is going to be structured around BJP on one side and RJD on the other side. And the reason is that Nitish Kumar or JDU does not have a organizational machinery as both these parties or a second line of leadership. So, with Chirag Paswan going down, BJP also can get a portion of Dalit votes in the long run, right? So BJP has both the capacity as well as resources to let this game play out. Can Nitish be catapulted to the national level? See, in politics, oppositional candidate or any type of candidate is just what we call as in Hindi, ummidwar. So Nitish Kumar is not going to move from Patna to Delhi to just become a ummidwar unless he thinks that there is a real shot in 2024 for himself. He's not going to just take the offer of becoming the opposition's chief campaigner because he's in the game, unless there is a real possibility of him becoming the prime minister. So there must be some bargaining that might have taken place both between Lalu Yadav and Nitish, as Rahul Srivastava is hinting out. But I still don't know what the bargaining chip is. Because if Nitish Kumar has accepted that in 2025, Tejashwi, not him, is going to be the chief ministerial candidate, then he's not gaining much. So
at the moment, though,
or the play is will become clearer in 4 to 6 months.
Maybe in the next 1 year we'll know what exactly is the game, but a game clearly has been played. And Bihar, in a sense, has the real political shatranj ke khiladi. And they will take on, in a way, some believe, Narendra Modi's BJP. But it's one thing to do it in Patna, it's another thing to scale up and do it nationally. So the challenges will remain for Nitish Kumar. I thank all my guests.